You're goddamn right it's pressed.
Ooh,
Welcome
wow.
everyone to another fantastic episode of Our Parents' Basement. Thank you so much for joining us. I am enjoying this Thursday night extra much because tomorrow I don't have to work. The perks of being a state employee. So thanks, government.
They give you off for Good Friday off in Tennessee.
I sure do.
All right, you want to hear something messed up?
Well, let me introduce everyone, then we can hear.
Okay.
Yes, I am Philip, and I am channeling my basic white girl this evening by sipping on Americano from Starbucks. So good. And with me are two other wonderful folks. First is Charles, who is easy to make laugh, apparently. How's it going, Charles?
I'm just looking at Turf's expression in the video. He's like, oh my God, Kale, no, you didn't just do that.
Charles, how you doing tonight?
Doing fine.
For those who don't know, Charles has a video on our channel of him unboxing some cool Atari stuff. So
yes.
When you get a chance, check that out. And give us a like for that too.
Technically, the Sears Telegames Video Arcade, which was made by Atari.
Actually, that's the... And we also got Jason, but I call him Turf. Turf, how are you doing this evening?
Man, I'm well. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy that it's Thursday. I really wish I got off tomorrow as a state employee from another state, possibly, maybe, but they don't like to let me talk about them on social media.
Oh, I should have said that.
We won't put this out there.
Okay.
Anyways, I do have to work tomorrow. I can't believe they let y'all off. That's kind of odd. Arkansas, we get off and I'm not even joking, before we get off Martin Luther King Day. So that's
we got that.
Okay, yeah. But in the state of Arkansas, because it was a holiday first, not because of sense or any kind of like white pride stuff, we're the same day as Robert E. Lee's birthday.
Oh.
It was a state holiday before Martin Luther King Jr.
Well, I'll be darned. I did not know that.
Before he was alive. So we get off Martin Luther King / Robert E. Lee Day.
I did not know that until now. So well, at least you enjoy. At least you get the day off.
Yeah, I get the day off, but I still don't get Good Friday, man. I could make it Great Friday, but not having to work.
So is that what you were going to tell us? That was like really messed up.
Yeah, that is messed up.
Okay, yeah.
That's all I got, man. It's not important. I'm just wanting to gripe.
They have it off here for CPS, but it's spring break, so this works out that way for CPS here. I think a lot of
break. Yeah. Charles gone wild. Woo! Flash him.
Ain't nothing to flash.
He wouldn't do that.
Beats and a margarita.
Oh my God! Take my picture. Yeah. Oh, I love this song.
That's my jam, bitches.
Like,
I would have made such a good white girl.
Yeah. I mean, I'm already halfway there, eh? So
I don't like coffee, so I couldn't have Starbucks, but I could rock a mean pair of Uggs.
Wow, they don't get that day off anymore in CPS. I'm just looking at other vacations.
Meanwhile, back at the ranch. Well, actually, it was interesting. You know, before we went live, we were discussing something. You know, we're all gamers. We all like to collect things, and sometimes we somehow end up with some very high-end things. Some of which we just will hold on to forever and ever, till death do us part. Amen. Because we have some sort of attachment to it. But others we just own because, you know, maybe at one time we thought it'd be cool to own it. Maybe at one time we just got it when it was cheap, and for some reason its value has skyrocketed. And other times, who knows? We just like to show things off. And I was thinking, you know what? I'm thinking about selling some of those ones I don't have that much of an attachment to finance a purchase. Saw some real cute shoes from Christian Louboutin, and I'm kind of digging them. So maybe it's just a phase. Maybe this want for these will pass, but the shoes are real cute. So would you guys ever like sell something from your collection to finance something else that you really, really wanted? Other vices?
Man, I don't. I was looking around the room when you were talking about this, and I'm thinking of things I might sell, things that I could get rid of, things
for profit. Not no duplicates, no like.
Right, absolutely. I mean, we're talking about getting rid of something that is an item in our collection to purchase something else that's not games. Like I could turn loose of some like stuff to get more games, but not. Man, I don't know. Like I've legitimately offered to trade everything that wasn't my NES collection for stadium events, but the dude wasn't interested.
Everything.
I mean, I've got a pretty decent Super Nintendo collection. I mean, I've got all the big hitters. Well, not the big hitters, but the like the role playing games.
Yeah.
I've got some good stuff. I've got the Earthbounds and the Chrono Triggers, and I offered to trade all of that for stadium events one time, and I was sweating. Boy, was I sweating! But I didn't have like the Hagane that he was wanting, or the stuff like that.
Sweating because you didn't want to get rid of it, or because
it's a big deal, man. That was I mean, I was like, yeah, I'll give you this box of stuff for stadium events. And I'm glad I didn't, because I do get more joy out of Turtles in Time than I would ever get out of stadium, even owning stadium events. That's just kind of a wiener measuring contest.
Yeah. And that's It
is cool. It'd be cool to have an absolute complete collection, but I don't feel like less of a person because I don't. So it's not that big a deal. Yeah. But I was trying to think of something that I might like. I really would like to have a Polaris Razor.
A who?
A Polaris, Polaris, the 4-wheeler company, the side by sides, like the sport side by side ATV, all terrain vehicle. I would really like to have a Razor. I don't have to run 70 miles an hour on dirt, but I can if I want to, if I have a Razor, and they're about $20,000. So I'm like, man, I could sell some stuff, and I could sell my collection and buy 2 of them probably.
Wow.
But I still wouldn't. I enjoy this stuff.
Yeah.
And as long as I have a job and can save for something like that, I will.
What about you, Charles? You got some vices you're trying to buy?
I showed you guys like a dream bike, and a nice Conango C60 carbon fiber bike of a Campy Super Record, but that's like $10,000 or 10,000 euro. I don't know what the conversion to US dollars would be. It's about a little over 10 grand in here. I'm like, I don't think my whole collection is even worth that much. I may sell some stuff off, maybe to get a old Volkswagen Squareback, 1968, 70.
Don't you need a license to drive it though?
Oh yeah, eventually, yeah.
Okay.
The price I would get one, I would have to fix up, repair, do some engine work on it, maybe some, light body work, By the time I get that all done, I'll be able to get my license, but I don't know.
It's a big decision because we spend a good portion of our lives really accumulating these things. A lot of them have good memories. We play multiple times. I think the only thing that's really holding me back from selling some things for something else is that thought that, there may come a time for some reason I want to replay this down the road.
Yeah.
And if I do want to do that, it's going to be really hard to do that without paying a bunch of money.
Well, I'll tell you what, this is kind of my thoughts on it. This is kind of where you separate from being somebody that's playing games, or these separate from being games to being collector's items. Like, I wouldn't sell, like I can play Little Samson on the emulator, but I wouldn't sell it because I bought it for, like we were talking earlier, a few years ago when it was about a $600 game. It was about a $700 game, but I gave about $600 for it. Well, now I know someone that in the last month has sold one for $1,500.
It's ridiculous.
It really is ridiculous. It's stupid that I paid $600 for it. That's insane. But I wouldn't turn loose of it just because it's one of the pieces of something that I've worked a decade and a half to get. That I spent. I could have probably, and this is real talk. This is like confessions.
This is pop turf.
No, this is a confession. This is real talk.
Okay.
This is if I counted up every piece of gas, every drop of gas, every hotel room, and like the time, if I could monetize my time, somehow quantify it, that I've spent trying to trace down these 800 NES games or whatever I have, I could have probably paid full price for them, and still I could have ordered them off of eBay and whatever, and been money ahead probably. But man, that was an experience. That was fun. I've made a lot of friends, met a lot of people, and so there's more to it than just the wads of plastic and get chips and ROMs and whatever. Like I met you guys because of it.
Yeah.
And like, y'all two are like legitimate friends, you know. I've met like Jay and Eric and Mo and all that bunch of folks that we've had on this show that have been really cool to meet, really cool experiences. So Billy Mack, we talk on Facebook all the time. Billy McDonald, you know who that guy is. So there's been a lot of people that I legitimately know that I've come to be friends with because of buying these silly games. So I wouldn't trade that for anything.
Oh yeah, the memories for sure. You can't put a price on those.
I'm not giving up. Not giving up my Rockin' Cats box. It's just not happening.
Yeah, and and I think buying stuff on eBay, it's still fun sometimes, especially you do it at auction.
It is fun. It's fun to. I like to get new stuff. Who doesn't like to get new stuff? Who doesn't like to sprinkle a few, bids out there and see what happens?
And I lost one today and I won one today, which I'm kind of like glad I lost the one. I placed a bid on like 8 Intellivision systems. One was an Intellivision 2 with the computer attachment and a keyboard. I'm like, okay, that's worth it. I'm like, okay, and in the last seconds, it went over like 5 seconds when they got their bid in. So I lost it there. Yeah, the one I lost.
Well, it's hard to win anything. It's hard to get a bargain on eBay anymore because of bots being the big reason, and
the tomfoolery.
There's a little shield bidding and tomfoolery in there. So it's occasionally you can get one. I haven't gotten a deal on eBay in a long time, but people do all the time. So,
but I just got a good deal on 67 Intellivision games.
Nice.
You just might be looking in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, I got that from the same guy who had a lot of the 8 Intellivision systems. Same seller. I'm like, okay.
Well, he should have let you know before you ship those.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, it was the not the Atari ones. Excuse me.
Yeah, Atari. It's a television, 8 Intellivision, and he said televisions. That was fun. Like, do you want me to get it? Am I gonna get it? And I got that like right before we went live. I won it, so I'm like, yes.
All right, that is fun. Like, if there's something you really want, and you're just like, it's getting down to 2 minutes. 2 minutes becomes 1 minute, and you're just watching. You're on your computer or your phone, and just hitting refresh, and you're like, come on, and bam! Like that happened to me once. I got the Sega Saturn version of Mega Man 8, the very last minute. Paid a great price for it, and so that was fun. The rush of buying is fun. That cannot be replicated. And you actually get the game itself, and it's like, well, I beat it. Now what?
A lot of time you get these old, Atari and Intellivision games for pretty cheap. They're not that expensive.
A lot of times you can get those for a song,
Yeah.
Nobody cares. I mean,
about those ones anymore.
Well, they're all right. The vast majority of people that are buying stuff on eBay are looking to resell it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If they're not looking for a deal for themselves. And this is just completely me pulling stuff out of my rear end because I don't know. It seems like a lot of people that are looking for a deal are just looking to resell. There's no money to be made in Atari or in Intellivision or Coleco because those collectors are all dead.
Yeah.
No, they're not dead. They've got out of the hobby.
Yeah, the market kind of died on all that. There's still some expensive games out there.
I know Atari is an expensive game, like Earthworld, Waterworld. It's like an elemental thing. Like the cheap one is Fireworld. I think everyone has that one.
Yeah,
it's Sword Quest. There was supposed
Sword
to be
Quest.
That was it, maybe. Yeah, it looked cool for.
Well, there's Earthworld, Fireworld, and Waterworld. And Waterworld is the expensive one.
That's it.
And
there was supposed to be Wind World, and that was the one that was supposed to be.
That one didn't get released at all.
But it never was made.
Yeah, I think. Oh, well. But like, there's some game Red Sea Crossing, which is like a $13,000 game.
What? That's ridiculous.
I think it's one of those ones that it came right out at the crash. So,
well, I mean, it was 1983. Steve Stack Inc. What happened on like the Atari games? A lot of times is people they were programming in their garage. So like in Southern California or San Jose, San Diego, the what is it, Sunnyvale?
Sunnyvale, yeah.
In that area, there were a lot just released in computer stores just locally.
Mm-hmm.
It was just right here. It's just a local release. It wasn't anything that went out to the rest of the world. So these people that are Atari collectors, they're like, well, I've got to get those too. I want all the Atari games. So they end up with these one of a kind, two of a kind. There might be 5 still in existence of Red Sea Crossing, or there's the Purina, I think Chase the Chuck Wagon or something like that.
Yeah, I think there's more of those out, but there's Pepsi Invaders, which they made for Coke. It's either they made it for Coke or Pepsi made it for their company. It's one of the two.
Okay. Chase the Chuck Wagon is not that big a deal. It's only $65. It used to be a big deal, but it's just like in 2011 it went for like $760. But see, that kind of gives you an idea of
how times have changed.
Changed.
Yeah.
It was a mail-in with Purina dog food. You had to send your proof of purchase to the Purina dog food, and they sent you Chase the Chuck Wagon.
Did you ever play that one? Either of you?
No, I never had.
No.
Yeah.
Let's see. What was the other one you were saying?
Red what?
Pepsi Invaders.
Oh,
Pepsi
that one. Yeah.
Oh no, Pepsi Invaders is a knockoff of
Space Invaders.
Space Invaders.
But I think
it's about $1,000 game.
Yeah, they had the words Pepsi falling down, and you were a Coke shooting, or they had the words Coke falling down, and you're shooting it. It was one of those two,
It was Coca-Cola. It was Pepsi Invaders. It was made by Coca-Cola, and actually on the front of the cartridge it says Atari cartridge goes great with a Coke or something like that.
Yeah. I could see that. Wasn't the Atari like all the rave back in the day?
It wasn't the first, but I think it was. They had the better marketing, better pricing, and it wasn't the better console. The thing with the Atari, they pretty much built it with off-the-shelf components. So they just marketed it out. They just found off the shelf. They didn't make their own chips for it, pretty much. So, which is why on the ColecoVision and television, they were able to make game like add-ons to the systems where you could play Atari games on the ColecoVision or in television.
Okay.
Atari tried to sue, and Panfy well, actually, you bought all these components off the shelf, so it's not really your system, or it's not really your thing. They designed all this from the off-the-shelf components, but it was
right. It could be replicated. It wasn't.
Yeah, it could be replicated. Yeah, it's like in television, ColecoVision, they did their own chips and all their whole systems.
Mm-hmm.
So
it was kind of a different world then too.
Yeah.
This kind of leads us into our topic. Anyway, it was the Intellivision. Like you could play Intellivision cartridges on a 2600 if you had an adapter.
Yeah.
You can't exactly plug a Sega Genesis game into a Super Nintendo.
No.
You can adapt whatever you want to. It's different software for a different computer.
Right.
But the way that the 2600 and the television, and I guess not the Coleco, because I don't think there's an adapter for that.
There's an adapter for Atari 26 to play on the Coleco too.
To play on the ColecoVision.
Yeah.
So everything was so similar that the cartridge shape was the only difference.
Mm-hmm.
So
you good there?
Well, and
there were a stroke. I'm not sure.
There were some system performance differentials from ColecoVision, Atari, and Intellivision.
I think so. These three, were they See, I never touched any of these consoles in my life. Were these three like the big to-dos back in like the early 80s,
It
late
would have been like
70s?
77 to 83. They were the top dogs.
And I think the ColecoVision is a better system graphically out of the three.
Is it?
I
think
think
television was the walking dog on that one.
I don't know. I think they're close.
Okay, but the Atari was the king.
They had the better marketing. They had
it's the most memorable one.
Yeah.
If somebody was playing something, if you ask somebody what video game came before Mario, before the Nintendo,
yeah,
they're going to say Atari because that's the only one anybody knows. They remember that wood grain goodness. Yeah. Nobody remembers even the black Atari or the Sears Telegame version of it. Yeah. They remember the wood grain, cool 1970s style Atari.
What's funny about both the Sears version and the Atari, they both had the wood grain. Just like the Sears one, they had that. As I said, it looks like a walnut wood. it looks better than that.
It's a nice cherry pine.
It's classy, yeah. But yeah, they're still made by Atari.
I like my Atari like I like my Caprice Volkswagen wood grain.
Yes.
And also, the weird thing back then.
Station wagon, not a Volkswagen. Caprice station wagon. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. The weird thing back then, like weird for us now, us NES kids and Sega Genesis kids. Mattel made the television. Coleco made the ColecoVision. Atari made the Atari VCS or 2600. Atari made games for the television. Atari made games for the ColecoVision. Mattel made games for the Atari and the ColecoVision. They all made games for all the systems.
And Nintendo made games for the ColecoVision.
Yeah, and Nintendo.
And Intellivision.
Yeah, well, Coleco made games for Nintendo for the Atari.
There we go.
Yeah, which is.
Hold on, was Donkey Kong on the Atari?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I know Donkey Kong was on the ColecoVision.
Here we go, got it right here.
I know Donkey Kong Jr. was on the. It is. I used to have that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we have that actually.
Made by Coleco.
Yeah, Coleco made a Nintendo game, made Donkey Kong for the Atari, which is weird. And then I know the television had Donkey Kong Jr.
Yeah,
I don't know which. I assume it's probably on everything.
They also had Donkey Kong on the Intellivision, also made by Coleco.
So weird.
It's getting confusing now. Woo.
Well, it was just kind of a weird orgy of games and titles and systems. It was just everybody getting a pile and let's see what feels good.
Yeah.
I think Atari had the simplest controller.
Was it just a little stick and a button?
Single joystick and a button. For the main one, they had the driving controller, which only worked for a couple games, and the paddle controller.
And that was when you kind of with the knob.
Yeah.
Okay. Which you would play it with it like this. I'm just kidding.
Get each one and just really
rub between your.
Yeah, really get in there.
Got it right here.
The audio only people can't see the gestures. That's okay.
We were tweaking nipples.
There you go.
I'm actually playing with the controller.
And Charles is he has visual aids here, so let's see what he's about to hold up to the camera.
Paddle controllers.
I've got paddle controllers. I got the driving controllers. Yeah, the paddle controllers. Wow. There are two paddles for each port. Driving controllers. There's like one for each side for the left and right one.
Okay, what 4-player game did they have? What 4-player game was there for Atari? Because I should know this.
Warlords.
Warlords isn't it?
What's that? Yes. Like is it like a Gauntlet Legends type of thing?
It's like Breakout, but in 4 corners of the screen.
Okay, yeah. Imagine like 4-player Pong.
Yeah, 4-player.
That could be kind of fun, actually.
It actually is a blast
for a few minutes.
You have your little ship or whatever you want to call it that's guarding your castle in each corner of the screen. The screen's got 4 corners, so each player gets 1 corner, and you've got to try to bounce the ball off a little paddle, and every time it gets past you, it breaks one of your bricks.
Mm-hmm.
So I like it's actually really fun. It's a really cool idea, and I think they should bring it back.
Yes,
I think we need an updated version of that for something
modern. Yeah, with some little flash, but same concept.
That was a horrible idea.
Which one?
I said phones, but that would be a horrible.
No, not on the phones. That wouldn't be very fun.
But
so it sounds like you have some games that you really want to show some love for. right now, both you, Charles, and Turf. It sounds like because I have no experience with the Atari. Before we went live, Charles is saying I should at least try Yar's Revenge because I do have that, and he has it right there.
Boom.
And
like the art on these games were awesome.
That is cool artwork. I'm not gonna lie. That's an '80s cartoon cover art right there.
It's metal AF.
Yeah, man.
I mean, there are a bunch of good games that were, if you take them for what they are, and you have to really get past the looks like it's made out of Legos graphics.
I never minded poor graphics. As long as they're fun, I'm cool with that.
Like, I'm okay with like 8-bit graphics because you don't have to use as much imagination. You really had to have some imagination to play Atari. Like, have you ever heard of Adventure?
Mm-mm.
Yes.
You are literally a square.
Okay.
That is the dude, and you go around. You have to get the key, and you have to get past the dragon that looks like a duck.
Yes.
And I mean, like, there's secrets and stuff like that. It's actually a pretty complex game for the Atari. But your dude, the guy that you are, is a block. He's a square, and that's it. So you had to have a little bit of imagination to know that. Oh, this is my dude. This is my knight in shining armor.
This is my square.
not too much music in them. In the videos in the games.
See, that's important to me. Is a little bit of music.
Well, you can just forget that, leave it at the door. But now you can think this is before music, not before like actual music, but before music was prevalent in games. It doesn't predate a harp, so. But before, I mean, probably before the NES, maybe.
Okay.
It was very rudimentary music if you got any.
Even like Donkey Kong didn't have music, or Pac-Man?
Well, in the arcade you did, just not at home consoles.
In the intro, they had a quick music. Like, it was either bad, it was crappy.
Yeah.
Like Pac-Man for the Atari 2600. That game is total shit.
I grew up on that game, and I've played it probably more than any other.
Than you should have.
More than anybody should have. Than any other Atari 2600 game. I had one as a kid, and Pac-Man and E.T. were two of my go-to games.
Well, sometimes that's all you have are limited options,
Well, but
Stampede is the titties, y'all. You need to check out Stampede. I remember it being really good, and I probably haven't played it in 30 years. But you were on a horse, and you're trying to rope the steers, and that's cool.
But Pitfall 2 is pretty good.
Pitfall is good.
And Pitfall 2 has actually got music in it on the Atari 2600.
All right, I'll tell you, my favorite 2600 game, and this is one that I've discovered as an adult. So this is not this isn't nostalgia talking at all.
Nostalgia, yeah.
There's no rose-colored glasses in this. It's Kaboom.
I like the name.
Well, you're a bucket. You use the paddle controllers to control the bucket going left and right, and this dude is just frantically throwing like the circle bombs, like the Rocky and Bullwinkle looking bombs. It's a ball with a fuse coming out of it.
Yeah.
This dude is frantically, and when I say frantically, he's throwing them like 10 at a time. Just down the screen, and you're using the paddle controller to go back and forth and collect all the bombs before they hit the ground. It's awesome. Kaboom is a lot of fun.
Awesome. I mean, it sounds like a good, simple way to kill some time, the Atari. That's what I'm hearing.
It is. It's a very video games then were, and this is just once again just some dummy running his head. There's no real expert advice here, but we were graduating from the arcades. Video games were short little bites of fun. There wasn't a meal there. Now we have, a buffet of game. Mm-hmm. You can get a game and spend 100 hours on it. Easily, 200, whatever, on a single actual, just one title. But then it was like 90 seconds at a time is about what you spent on a game. You got your quarter's worth and you moved on.
Yeah.
And they were translating that arcade experience to home consoles, and that's what Atari and Coleco and most of those games were. It was amazing that Pitfall was a 20-minute game. It was the longest thing around. It had a 20-minute time limit, and that's unreal. That's absolutely unheard of.
Huh. Man, I would sometimes think it'd be an interesting time to grow up alongside those consoles. But then I think, you know what? No, I'm glad I grew up with Nintendo, because it sounds so much better.
Pitfall is one of the earliest games I remember playing, on Atari.
I had a buddy that had Pitfall when we were little. His name was Matt Matchin. So, Matt, if you stumble across this, thanks for introducing me to Pitfall up in your bedroom. That was many years ago. But it was cool because you got to run across it and you go, oh, when you swung on the vine, and you jump on the alligator's head across the little lake, and you go to the next screen, and the next screen was different.
Yeah.
Was there an end? Was there an end?
Yes, it did. It had an end.
You had to collect all the
treasure.
Collect all the shit. Yeah, all treasure.
Because I know they remade Pitfall for the PlayStation years later. I played a demo of it. I think it was. I guess it was okay. A 3D Pitfall. I mean, but so I guess some of those games still have some relevance in today's era.
I think you could make a procedurally generated. Is that what they call it when the computer makes up the levels as it goes?
Okay.
I think you could make one of those, like a 2D Pitfall, and I think it would be really good. Just have, the screens have different variations of just randomly generated stuff. And I think that would be a lot of fun. I think somebody needs to jump on that and give me royalties.
Copyright Turf today, 2018.
So were these games difficult?
Some were. E.T. is a difficult game if you don't know what the hell's going on.
If you don't have the manual. If you have the manual, E.T. is surprisingly playable. People give it a lot of ish, but it's not a bad game.
It's not a horrible. If you know what the fuck you're doing, it's a good game. If you don't know what you're doing, it's hard. If you gotta go into the holes and find the shit to build the shit to get out of the shit. Pretty much.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah, this E.T. this sounds like something. This is some.
Well, you had to. If you had the manual, you knew what to do. If you bought it at a yard sale or whatever, you were just running around until the dude in a trench coat came and got you.
Yeah. Well, speaking of E.T., okay, so I think it was maybe 3 or 4 years ago, maybe even less time. Some dude found like a landfill full of E.T. cartridges, or is that just some rumor?
No, it actually found there was cartridges. There's Pac-Man cartridges. I think there was systems buried there. There's a whole bunch of.
All right, here's the real story. Now, if you want a more in-depth version of this, I suggest you get on the YouTubes and look for the gaming historian's story of this. But here it is in a nutshell. The video game crash happened in 1983. People weren't buying video games at all for home consoles. The arcades were still going strong. So Atari was going under. Excuse me. And they had to get rid of, stock. Or there was things, stores wouldn't buy it. So they had just all this stuff sitting in a warehouse. So they had to get rid of it. And excuse me, I apologize for that. In California, apparently you can go into landfills and get stuff, but in New Mexico, you couldn't. So, and they took it to Telemagordo, Mexico. I think maybe that's just where the cheapest place, because you got to pay to dump stuff, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that must have been the cheapest one. So isn't that right? Telemagordo, New Mexico?
I think so.
That's where they dug them up anyhow.
They finally got permission.
Yes. Centipede, Pac-Man, just all the popular games that they just couldn't get rid of anymore. They were hitting the dollar bins at Walmart's and Toys R Us and KB Toys. They were in Radio Shack, whatever. But they couldn't, what was a $40 game or $30 game, whatever the games were then, they couldn't give away for $3. I distinctly remember in my lifetime seeing bins of games, like the big bins in the middle of the aisles at Walmart with $3 on them. And I'm not exaggerating or making, I remember that in my lifetime.
Sure.
I was a child in Forest City, Arkansas, and I saw that. They could not get rid of them, so they were just dumping them. They literally took them to a dump and dumped them out. So there's not a whole lot of conspiracy like E.T. caused Atari to go under or anything like that.
No.
Video games caused oversaturation of the market caused Atari to go under, and they had a bunch of stuff they just had to get rid of. So it wasn't just E.T. in the landfill.
Yeah, I think he had the idea in Television, ColecoVision,
Odyssey 2.
Was Odyssey 2 still a thing in '83?
I don't know.
I think I think they were a flash in the pan.
Atari 5200 was
Atari 5200. Yeah, that system was just.
They oversaturated the market. There was too many, and anybody could make a game. Like we were talking about earlier, dudes could just make it in their garage and sell it. There wasn't any quality control. It could be trash, and you're like, "Yep, this works on an Atari. Send it out there." Kind of like people can do with an Android phone now, or people can do with a computer now. You can write any kind of program, put it out there on the internet, and people go, hey, yeah, this works on a PC. So it was the same type of thing. They just oversaturated the market with games. And the world wasn't ready for it, I don't think.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting. So Atari, Coleco, and Intella were sold on a global scale, or were they sold just nationally?
They were global, yeah.
Cool. That's pretty neat.
There's European Intellivisions, it was Mattel Electronics, which Mattel Electronics is pretty much dead thing now. But yeah, but Atari Punch led the way in the thing. They all had, Atari, they had over 565 games that were original release, something like that. Then there's all these other homebrews that came out.
560 plus, that's a pretty sizable library for for an industry that was so young at the time.
So it was so young and it was so short. When you think about it, the Atari came out in 77 and it was dead by 83. So we're talking a 6-year console span, and you're getting roughly 100 titles a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot. I guess the NES was probably about the same. Its lifespan was probably from about 86 to 94. So I mean, it was 8 years.
Yeah.
700 and something titles. So I guess there was about 100 titles a year for it coming out too. So
was Atari actually the first? Was it Intellivision or Coleco or?
Well, the first would have been Pong, Pong.
That Pong thing.
The Pong systems, and I think cartridge space. One of the first one may have been the Bally Astrocade, I think.
No, the first one with cartridges was the Fairchild Channel F.
Oh, Fairchild. Yeah, I forgot the Fairchild Channel F.
Yeah, that was the first one.
With so much. This is awesome. I love it.
Well, we saw Fairchild when we were in Dallas.
Did
at
we?
the Video Game History Museum.
And those you don't see too many.
Okay.
No, there's not many of those around. I've never seen one other than there.
Their console durability is not the best. That's why you don't see too many.
I wonder if those are like a hot ticket item for collectors.
They're really not. They're not as bad as you would think they are. Being the first cartridge-based system, you think it'd be hundreds of dollars. But you can check eBay, but I'm
not that interested. A fair what now?
Fairchild Channel F.
Fairchild. Interesting name. I'll give it that.
They were a big company back then, big electronics company.
Oh, so it was a company. They just didn't put a couple of words. Fair and Child. Those words sound good. You can get
a Fairchild Channel F boxed, complete, ready to go for $170 your best offer. So it's not ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Ataris, depending on the type you're getting, some could be more than others. I say, I've paid a premium for mine since, it was actually made in Sunnyvale, California.
Mm-hmm.
That was before they shipped them, or they sent production to Taiwan.
Hong Kong, Taiwan, yeah. 6-switch. See, I looked at the board. It's board revision 1. 77 was a date on the board. So it was like one of the early boards. So
that's pretty awesome. I've never seen one. I did have a heavy sixer, but I never had the Atari talk.
Yeah.
There's several different types of Atari. One of them, the early ones that had six switches on the front.
Yeah.
There's a light sixer and a heavy sixer, and the heavier one is just noticeably heavier.
Yeah.
And then there's the heavy sixer Sunnyvale, which is what Charles has, is the revision 1.
Light sixer. It's actually a light sixer Sunnyvale.
No, it's really.
Yeah, which they didn't make too many of those, so it's what the heaviness is. There's more plastic in the actual case for the heavy sixers, and they don't have a channel select switch on them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, mine has a channel select.
Okay. So I had the heavy sixer. I had the Vader. They have one that's all blacked out, and it's the murdered out 2600. People call it the Vader.
Because it looks like Darth Vader, or what?
Right. Well, it's just blacked out.
Okay.
Yeah, they're referencing Darth Vader. There was in the Sears Telegames. There's an Atari Junior.
Yeah.
Is there a Telegames Junior?
I don't think they did but they did a for the 7800. They did a to Pro system. They did a 7800 Sears version of that also.
Okay.
But I don't think they did a 5200 for Sears. The 5200 didn't last too long.
The Atari made, for anybody who may not know, Atari made systems specifically for Sears stores to be sold in Sears stores, and they were called
I didn't know
Sears
that.
games.
Yeah,
but it was an Atari 2600.
Yeah, and then television did too.
For Sears?
Really?
Yeah, at the same time, there was the Super Video Arcade. That's what they did.
Did not
What they
know
call it. Yeah, I was look at the television, like, oh, there's a Sears version of it.
See, we dropping knowledge bombs here on Our Parents' Basement.
Yeah.
Yeah, we came up with this topic, I think, because of Charles's unboxing video, and they were talking, we could talk about this. I'm like, I don't know jack crap about any of these systems, but I'm willing to listen, and this has been super informative so far.
They're fun systems to play. Some of them are easy to collect for. There's not too many games for in televisions. They only released about what? For the main in television, they only did 118, 120 games for it.
Yeah, it's not super hard to get an Intellivision collection if you really wanted it. It's not crazy expensive. The pre-NES stuff is pretty reasonable. There was a big boom in collecting in the early 2000s, but since then it's fallen off.
Yeah, the most expensive game for the Intellivision, according to price charting, is Spiker Super Pro Volleyball, which is like $1,100, which is still a lot of money.
A lot of money, yeah.
But that's the most expensive game on a system. When you've got on the NES, you've got $26,000 for a Nintendo World Championship.
Yeah, and that came out toward the end of the life of the Intellivision after, I guess, someone bought the rights to the Intellivision after Mattel Electronics sold off all their stuff. So someone else bought the rights and started making games for it. But yeah.
Interesting. Do you ever think any the modern systems, well, not necessarily modern, but stuff that we grew up with will kind of start to fade out in terms of popularity?
I think the NES is already starting.
Yeah. Well, I think it depends on where you are.
Well, there's ebb and flows to it. I was talking to Buzzy from the Bad Graphics Gamers the other day, and he was saying it was surprising how many people are selling out their whole collections.
Their whole collections.
Yeah, there's people like me that have big collections that are just selling out. They're done with it. They're over it. It was fun while it lasted. Here's some deuces for you. I want to cash out while prices are high.
Yeah.
But go ahead, Charles. I was just going to bitch about something. Go ahead, Charles.
Yeah, I was going to bitch about that too. I go to the video game shop, video game vendor now out in Norwich, and they have their NES selection is pretty small.
And that's because a lot of it has made it into eBay, made it to eBay.
Yeah.
There's nothing around here anymore. It's made it to collectors' hands and stores' hands. And, I hate to
eBay. I love to hate eBay and I hate to love eBay. I'm not going to lie.
But I'm right there with you. I like eBay. It made everything accessible. It also made everything expensive.
Mm-hmm.
It killed the yard sale.
Go ahead, Charles.
Yeah, I was saying, their Atari selection. There's so many Atari games they got there.
Where, on eBay or
at the video game shop I go to?
Really?
Was it the one I went with you to?
No, not that. Another one.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, that one. You saw their NES collections. They didn't have too much there. They're they're Super Nintendo N64. Not too much there, but
right.
It's pretty uncommon.
It's
pretty uncommon if I find a store with Atari games around here.
Oh,
yeah.
And it's getting to where it's hard to find anybody that has NES games. But if you need PS3, I know where to look.
Yeah. PS3 and Xbox 3 shitty. My goodness. Speaking of which, Turf, that's a shame. This is a little off topic, but still not. The game store that Turf took us to a couple years ago is gone.
Yeah, it's gone. It closed down. The Game Room Trading Post is no more.
That
was such a fun place too.
It was huge.
It was.
Massive.
That was the biggest game store I think most people will ever see.
So, do you know what happened?
I have speculation, but
you have to tell us off air because
I just don't. Mike, the guy that did own it, the older man, he retired and he gave it to his two sons, and I don't think they were just super business savvy. I think they had a love for games. They knew their product, but they just didn't know how to run a business and how to do things like keep the lights on and pay rent. And the things that like they knew the video game side of it, but they just didn't know how to turn that into a business. Like I think I know the video game side of it, but I probably couldn't run a business because I don't know what it takes to run a business.
Yeah.
I may be able to run a business. I've been in retail, small business retail for 21 years.
Right.
So
well, I mean, you probably could just because that's what you've done.
Yeah, you got your margins and all that. That's why I was looking at this a lot of 8 television systems. Okay, if I pay X amount, I could sell them for this amount. I plan on doing such and such, taking one for myself, maybe giving one away, or a couple, giving one away, so this is how much I would have. This is where my break even is. So this is where I should stop bidding, Yeah,
well, I understand that stuff, but the part that would get me is the water bill, electric bill.
Oh yeah,
paying myself.
Paying my employees.
Well,
paying my employees. Yeah, I can get stuff and flip it, and I can make a little bit of cash. That's fun. That's easy. I've done.
That's not a business. That's not a business model.
That's not running a business. That's completely different.
Do you think that's what happened then with Atari? Like they just got too ambitious and they knew the games too well, and they just forgot to keep the lights on. And
I think it's Warner Brothers kind of screwed it over. I think
ET.
Warner Brothers, they owned it for a bit.
Oh, I did not know that.
Warner owned it for a brief time. I think they saw this big thing and they kind of got it and didn't know what the fuck to do with it.
Yeah.
And I think they kicked Nolan Bushnell out quickly. And
who was he?
He was the founder of Atari.
Okay.
And probably if he didn't get kicked out, may have been a different thing for Atari.
My thoughts, and this is kind of just once again, just talking to you, giving the thoughts of an a-hole. I think a lot of it was just a lack of quality control. People lost faith in the, grandma's buying little Timmy a game. She sees 500 games. Which one do I get? Oh, I'll get this one. I'll get Pac-Man. I've heard about it. The kids love it in arcades. And then it's a turd. Oh, little Timmy, the one we couldn't wait to go see E.T. in the theater. I'll get him E.T. And it was a turd. They just didn't have the quality control. And then Nintendo came around and had that seal of quality. You knew this was good. And they wouldn't. Now they did let some trash on the system. I mean,
LJ and stuff.
I'll be the first to admit that probably 75% of the NES library is shovelware. But at least they had somebody look at it and said, yes, this is functional. It may not be good, it may not be fun, but it is a game.
You can play
Atari didn't have that. There's you didn't even have to check with Atari if you wanted to make a game. You checked with Radio Shack and see if you could put it on their shelf.
Wow.
True.
So it was such a no man's land.
Yeah, it was. It was the Wild West. And I think that was probably and there's a lot of speculation once again. Our buddy Norman, the gaming historian, he's got an excellent video on the video game crash of 1983. So, or another good place is the video game years. Check out their 1983 episodes from Retroware TV.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Now I'm plugging people left and right tonight.
I know. They got to get their asses on this show. That's for damn sure.
That's one person I've never tried to get a hold of.
Who?
Mainly because they don't do the guys from Retroware. John and Lance. I've never asked them.
Well, John, Lance, open invite. Come down to OPB. Love to have you.
They don't even make videos anymore. But man, I would like to have those guys. I'm gonna have to thank you for letting me babble about that. I'm hitting them up tomorrow.
All right, that's what I like to hear. I like it when we get guests on here who have a little bit of an inside scoop on the industry, and it sounds like these guys do.
But it's like we're like really leaning hard heavy on the Atari, hard in the Atari as they turn and get an accident all of a sudden. I don't know where I guess, but there's also Coleco, which was an awesome system. Coleco and television.
I don't know anything about the ColecoVision. I had one at one point, and I don't anymore. And I can say I never turned it on.
Like that power block for that thing is so freaking huge. That power block is about the size of like 2 Atari cartridges, like back to back.
I like how you have Journey there.
Oh,
of all games, Journey.
Is that a bad game? Is that not good?
It's pretty fun.
It's got music by Journey in it.
Oh, I want to try that.
Yeah.
That's like Congo Bongo here too.
that's a good one too.
You know, it's
Well, there's actually some stuff looking into playing for the Atari.
yeah, the ColecoVision Power Block is like 4 Atari games stacked on top of each other. About.
Jeez, it really. Why was it so?
Too. I have no freaking idea why they did it. It
because electronics. That's why.
Yeah, it came out like 82, so they were they're a little late to the game, but it's like the design of the system it's a cool design. I've actually got one over here.
Ooh, visual aids. Charles at the ready.
Well, I wouldn't say ready.
This is the whole. It's a huge system.
That's the power brick.
Neat. Yeah, this is the whole system. It's got a little expansion port here for your Atari games.
Okay.
And it's got a nice little storage bin for your controller, which had a number pad on it.
So the ColecoVision has the one with the number pad. Gotcha.
Also the Intellivision and the Atari 5200.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
They had a weird thing for number pads back then.
So of the 3 we talked about in length this evening, which one's your favorite?
I like the ColecoVision. It's got a little bit better sound, a little better visual graphics.
Cool.
I haven't played with Intellivision yet. I'm going to be getting one soon.
What about you, Turf?
The Atari 2600, because I had one as a kid. It's the one I'm most familiar with. I found my very first cheat on a video game in that one. If you play football, just football for the Atari 2600, you're on the left, like you're the defense on the left-hand side, and if you can run all the way to the left off the screen, you'll show up behind the quarterback and you can tackle him. Found that out all by myself as a child.
So in real football, that's not correct, right?
No, I mean, I guess if you're really, really fast, you went completely around the world. But, if you were that fast, it wouldn't be an issue.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
If you were that fast, you'd be playing football.
You know, if you were that fast, you'd be studied.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
would dissect you.
You would be have some time dilation going there. Seriously, you'd be going fast.
Dilation after you got probed.
Yeah, but I play the Atari my Atari more.
Mm-hmm.
It's more stable. You know, it's built like a rock. Just like my old 4-switcher here.
Another visual aid.
Yeah,
show us here.
My game reset switch died on me. This is the most important switch on the goddamn thing. You know, this is the one that starts the games for most of them.
And it died. It is no more.
Yeah.
Well, I have to say, this has been probably, at least for me, one of the most informative episodes of OPB that I've got to experience. Turf, Charles, thanks for sharing all this knowledge with me. I don't know a damn thing about any of these systems or the video. I knew of the video game crash of '83, but not the ins and outs. I knew of that landfill fiasco, but not the true story. Yeah, you guys have taught me a lot. And hopefully we have taught our listeners and our viewers a lot. Speaking of which, Turf, I'm going to hand the floor over to you. And you can tell listeners and viewers more about how to listen to other episodes of OPB. So take it away.
If you enjoyed this episode of Our Parents' Basement, let me try that. Take 2.
Come on, basement. Porky Pig, you got this.
If you enjoyed this episode of Our Parents' Basement, you can look right over there. There are 94 other episodes. 94 other episodes of this dumpster fire. I kid. It's fun. It's actually a pretty decent show.
Yeah.
So that kind of shocks me. I listen to it and I'm like, this is not bad. We have talent. Anyways, check that out. Like us, subscribe on Facebook. That way you don't ever miss one of these videos. But now the real awesomeness of this is the audio only version. The iTunes, the Google Play, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, Spotify, Tuned In, and some others that send me emails occasionally that I didn't even know I signed up for. Just about anywhere that you can download a podcast, we are there. And if we're not, we can be. Just let me know. So there's that. Hit us up on Twitter at OPB Podcast, Facebook.com/OPB Podcast, Instagram at OPB Podcast. Be sure to subscribe and like and follow and all that noise on there so you don't ever miss a show. And we put out little neat things every now and then, some memes occasionally and things like that, pictures and whatnottery.
And sometimes also plug some other videos that we are trying to get down on our channel now.
Yeah,
some unboxing, some game reviews are coming.
Cool.
We've got variety, man. So if
Yeah.
y'all want to check that out, be sure to check out our YouTube channel. We have variety. So, gentlemen, do y'all have anything you would like to add?
Knowledge is power. We have
Yes.
dropped knowledge bomb upon knowledge bomb this evening, so hopefully you all learned something. I know I did.
All right. Well, the more you know, just a little rain.
No.
Y'all have a good night. Deuces for you.
Later.